Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Now, Prime Minister Modi has said that secret Netaji files will be declassified starting on his birth anniversary. That will be the big story we'll be looking at. Also, we take a look at President Mukherjee's Israel visit. But first up, the headlines. India says it condemns all forms of terrorism. Stand conveyed during President Pranab Mukherjee's historic visit to Israel. India expresses distress at violence in West Asia, calls for peaceful negotiations. Clampdown in East Jerusalem after surge in violent attacks. 2 Palestinians gunned down after separate stabbing attempts. Palestine warns of religious war. Government to start declassifying files related to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose by January next year. PM Modi says there is no need to strangle history. Government swings into action over spiraling prices of pulses, invokes price stabilization fund, stresses on imports to cool rates and create buffer stock. And India finally tastes victory against South Africa. Captain Dhoni leads men in blue to 22-run win over Proteas at Indore in the second ODI. Now, India has said that it condemns all forms of terrorism. This was conveyed by President Pranab Mukherjee during his visit to Israel. India also expressed distress at the spiraling violence in West Asia and stressed on the need for negotiations to resolve the matter. President wraps up his historic 6-day visit to the region today.
India and Israel have signed a double taxation avoidance agreement during President Pranab Mukherjee's historic visit to the Jewish state. This, along with a cultural exchange agreement, has also been signed. India has also expressed distress at the continuing violence in West Asia. President Mukherjee made this remark at the Israeli presidency, where he was accorded a ceremonial reception.
We are disturbed at the recent violence. India condemns all forms of terrorism. We have always advocated a peaceful resolution of all disputes. I'll seek the assessment of the leadership of Israel about the recent developments in this region, which have caused concern for the entire world and which have direct implications for India.
The president also made a historic address at the Knesset, which was attended by his Israeli counterpart Reuven Rivlin and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, along with members of various parties. President's discussions with Rivlin covered a wide range of bilateral issues, including bilateral cooperation in power, ports and railways. He also sought Israeli investments and financial instruments in India, as well as in the defense sector, in which foreign direct investment of 49% was now permitted, while as even 100% investment was possible on a case-by-case basis.
We are also discovering and identifying new areas of complementarities where there is significant potential to be realized. We agree that there are tremendous opportunities for mutually beneficial collaboration.
Indians and Israelis are working together not only in breakthroughs in the supply of basic food and water, but are also working together to create the highest level of technology. We are working to safeguard the environment. We are working to develop academic study. And we are working to keep our people safe in the face of terrorism and fundamentalism.
President Mukherjee also thanked Israel for its support to India's claim to a permanent membership of the UN Security Council. He also mentioned the government's ambitious Make in India campaign and said that Israeli innovation and technology can combine with Indian engineering and scale to manufacture in India. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Now, for the first time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reacted directly to some of the recent incidents of intolerance across the country. He termed the Dadri lynching incident as sad but denied responsibility of the centre in such cases. Instead, he accused the opposition of indulging in politics of polarization. The opposition party slammed his reaction as mere posturing and called for more concrete actions.
There has been growing pressure in the past few weeks on Prime Minister Narendra Modi to react to the Dadri incident. Apart from making a reference at a rally in Bihar, the Prime Minister did not react to it directly until an interview to the Bengali daily Ananda Bazar Patrika. Accusing the opposition of indulging in pseudo-secularism and politics of polarization, Modi described the Dadri incident and the cancellation of Ghulam Ali's concert in Mumbai as unfortunate. Modi's cabinet colleagues as well as RSS backed his reaction, saying the centre has no responsibility to tackle such incidents of intolerance.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने सही कहा कि किसी राज्य में कानून व्यवस्था में अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया तो उस राज्य में जो राज्य सरकार होता है उसका सीधा उसका जिम्मेदारी लेना पड़ता है।
जो लोग देश के सौहार्द को, देश की एकता को, देश के भाईचारे को तार-तार करने के सियासी संकल्प के साथ काम कर रहे हैं वो खुद तार-तार होंगे। यही संदेश और यही संकल्प प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का है, यही संकल्प संदेश भारतीय जनता पार्टी का है और यही संकल्प देश के लोगों का है।
दादरी की घटना में कितना भी गुस्सा है तो भी कानून अपने हाथ में नहीं लेना चाहिए लोगों ने, और हत्या वगैरह तो बिल्कुल नहीं करनी चाहिए। सुरेंद्र कुलकर्णी के बारे में जो वो भी निंदनीय घटना है, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तो है ही। विरोध कर सकते हैं, विरोध करने का एक तरीका होता है, लेकिन अब विरोध का मतलब अपमान नहीं होता।
Congress and other key opposition parties have hit back, saying that the Prime Minister cannot wash his hands off the incident. Even BJP ally Shiv Sena, which showed no remorse over its protests against Ghulam Ali's concert or Khurshid Mahmood Kasuri's book launch, took a dig at Modi's reaction.
जो घटना हुई है मुंबई में वो राष्ट्रभक्ति की घटना थी। राष्ट्रभक्ति से प्रेरित हमारे शिव सैनिकों ने जो किया है उसका हमें ना कोई दुख है ना खेद है, और प्रधानमंत्री जी का जो वक्तव्य आया है आज ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
कितने असहाय हो गए हैं क्या कि कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। संगीत सोम भाजपा के विधायक खुलेआम उन्होंने उन जो आरोपी हैं उनको बचाने के लिए खुलकर बयान दिया, उन पर कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं करते?
It is not enough. He cannot wash off his hands that his government has no role. Does Prime Minister approve of the statements being made by his own minister? There he has to act and he has a role.
Last week at an election rally in Bihar, Modi had appealed for communal harmony without naming any particular incident. He had also referred to the president's speech where Pranab Mukherjee called for maintaining India's core values of tolerance and mutual respect. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Nobody can say definitely.
प्रधानमंत्री जी की कथनी कुछ है और करनी कुछ है। ये कोई पहली घटना नहीं है। इसके पहले याद होगा मुजफ्फरपुर नगर के जो दंगाई थे उनको प्रधानमंत्री की सभा में सम्मानित किया गया था। उनमें से एक को प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपने मंत्रिमंडल में शामिल कर लिया, तो भाजपा ने और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने काम बांट लिया है। प्रधानमंत्री जी एक बनो और नेक बनो का भाषण करते हैं और भाजपा जो है वो समाज को सामाजिक रूप से बांटती है।
The unfortunate lynching and the death of that gentleman in Dadri is symbolic of the systematic decay in our social fabric that is being accentuated by the new government. And I believe it's not appropriate to wash your hands off by saying the central government has no role to play.
देखिए, आरएसएस भारतीय जनता पार्टी और उनके सहयोगी जितने दल हैं वो नरेंद्र मोदी जी को गोधरा का हीरो मानते हैं, और आज भी चैनल्स पर ये बात चल रही है कि हम नरेंद्र मोदी जी के लिए इसलिए इतने समर्पित हैं कि वो गोधरा के हीरो हैं। अब इसके बाद मेरे ख्याल से कोई गुंजाइश बाकी नहीं रहती प्रधानमंत्री जी के बारे में कोई राय कायम करने की।
And in the other big story, well, the centre will declassify its secret files on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose the next year. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made the announcement after meeting 35 members of the freedom fighters family at his residence on Wednesday. He said that India will also request other countries, including Russia, to declassify their files on Netaji.
The family members of Netaji Subhash Bose met the Prime Minister on Wednesday to urge him to declassify files on the freedom fighter to unveil the truth behind his controversial death 70 years ago, and they did not return empty-handed. Reacting on the meeting, Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter to make the announcement of centre's decision to finally start the process. And the first of the files will be released on the freedom fighter's birthday on January 23rd next year.
The declassification process is on. The first of declassification will happen on 23rd of January. So it was a great moment. And I think not only the people present thank the Prime Minister for this announcement. I think the entire country is today jubilant because 70 years of wait for the real history to come out on Netaji and INA has finally taken shape under Prime Minister Mr. Modi.
Today actually is the Independence Day of India. That documents जो दबाया हुआ गया है वो आज सार्वजनिक किया जाएगा 23 जनवरी से शुरुआत. सुभाष चंद्र बोस was one of the first nationalists of India. तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी नेशनलिज्म में विश्वास करता है तो वो अच्छी काम किया है, ये सब सार्वजनिक क्या किया है तो उसका फायदा वो खुद उठाएंगे, क्यों नहीं? देश आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी को पूरा समर्थन देंगे.
Earlier, the centre had been of the opinion that declassification of the files could lead to a diplomatic issue. It fears that India's relation with some of the other countries could be compromised. But last month, West Bengal government had declassified 64 files on Netaji. Some of the documents have raised questions over the theory of his death, as well as several governments alleged snooping on the family. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Entire nation and all of us love, respect and revere Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. We will only humbly request Modi ji so that all doubts are nipped in the bud. He should forthwith release all files relating to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and place them in public domain.
The entire nation wants that there should not be any further committee or commission. The entire nation wants that there should be action. The only action is declassification of the records, and the sooner the better. And the Modi government must follow the way Ms. Mamata Banerjee government has declassified all the records.
The Mamata Banerjee government took a historic decision to declassify the Netaji files. This is a great example of transparency, and we believe the centre should do the same.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the 84th birth anniversary celebrations of former President Dr APJ Abdul Kalam in New Delhi today. At the event at the DRDO Bhavan, Prime Minister Modi will unveil the Missile Man's statue and also inaugurate a photo exhibition on the departed leader. He will also make an address on the occasion. Separately, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar will rename the country's key missile complex in Hyderabad after Kalam. The landmark event will take place at Research Centre Imarat. Now, Kalam was country's 11th president from 2002 to 2007. He is also the father of India's military missile program. The renowned scientist passed away in Shillong after addressing the students of IIM. And in other news, the government has swung into action to contain spiking rates of pulses with a record price of 190 rupees per kilo. The government has initiated several measures, including the use of price stabilization fund and imports to cool rates and to create a buffer stock. Now, the decisions were taken after an interministerial group headed by Finance Minister Arun reviewed the situation. The Finance Minister said that the states have been asked to lift the stock of pulses lying at ports like Jawaharlal Nehru Port near Mumbai. Well, to deal with the supply crunch, the government has also decided to create a buffer stock of lentils, mainly through imports. The Finance Minister said that a considerable amount of stock will come to the market over the next few days. Now, this, together with the invocation of price stabilization fund, will have some impact on cooling down the prices of pulses in the country.
India is normally about a little over 2 million tons short on production as far as pulses are concerned. This shortage is made up by imports. We've had a significant amount of imports into the market, but there is even some global shortage, which has resulted in escalation of the global prices.
Now, Finance Minister ArunJaitley has said that the decision of several Sahitya Academy Award writers to return their awards was a manufactured revolt. In a Facebook post titled "A Manufactured Revolt Politics by Other Means," Jaitley said that there was no atmosphere of intolerance in the country and that the manufactured revolt was a case of ideological intolerance towards the BJP. Now, condemning the Dadri incident in the post, Jaitley questioned the intentions of the writers. He said, and I quote him now, "Is this protest real or a manufactured one? Is this not a case of ideological intolerance?" Now, stating that there were a large number of writers with left or Nehruvian leanings who have been recognized by the government in the past, Jaitley alleged that the thrust of the writers' protest appears to be that under the present central government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, an atmosphere of intolerance has been created in the country, quote unquote. Nearly 25 writers have returned their Sahitya Academy Awards, protesting against what they believe is a climate of rising intolerance in the country. The first to return this award was writer Uday Prakash on 4th of September, protesting against the murder of M.M. Kalburgi. On Tuesday, noted Bengali poet Mandakrata Sen returned her Sahitya Academy Award. Now, Sen is the winner of Academy's Young Writers Special Award and is the author of 22 poetry books and several novels. The Academy, meanwhile, under great pressure, has called an emergency meeting of its executive board on 23rd of October to discuss the situation.
Voices of people, voices of writers as well, they're being choked. So against all this, I'm protesting, and I have already started protesting in our state. But I wanted to say something against the Modi government and their vision more nationally. So that's why I have chosen this path of returning my award.
And now let's take a look at what all is lined up for the day in the day ahead. The Constitution Bench of Supreme Court will continue hearing petitions on linking Aadhaar with social and disbursal of subsidies welfare schemes. The centre informed the Supreme Court yesterday that Aadhaar is not mandatory for citizens to get benefits due to them. The three-judge bench in its 11th of August order told the centre that Aadhaar can be used only in LPG, PDS and kerosene distribution, and among these also the use of Aadhaar would be voluntary and not mandatory. The Supreme Court will begin the final hearing on a batch of petitions filed by Telangana, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra relating to a row over distribution of Krishna River water among them. Newly created Telangana has sought to be considered as an entity separate from Andhra Pradesh in the distribution of Krishna water among the stakeholder states. It has also sought a fresh determination of the share of Krishna water. A Varanasi court will hear the bail plea of Congress MLA Ajay Rai and 13 others who were arrested in connection with 5th of October violence. The violence broke out during Anya Patrikar Yatra on 5th of October. Police had lodged an FIR against 105 identified and over 1,000 unidentified persons and arrested 50 accused by 7th of October. Now, 5 more people were arrested on the next day, taking the total number of arrests in this case to 56. Former Nepalese Prime Minister and Maoist chief Prachanda will visit China for high-level meetings with the Chinese leadership amid anti-India sentiments in the country. China has invited the chiefs of UCP and Maoist to attend the Silk Road Reconstruction Summit, and Prachanda will embark on a 4-day visit. The China visit by the Maoist chief comes at a time when Nepal is placing a blockade on the Indian side of the border, and it is being termed significant. European Union members will meet against the backdrop of mass migration and refugee crisis when they will discuss setting up a possible EU border guard. The gathering of the heads of the 28 EU member states, which begins in Brussels later today, is a significant for it is the first such a European summit likely to adopt concrete measures to curb the huge inflow of refugees now pouring into the continent. After a hiatus of months, European governments are finally forging a consensus on what should be done to safeguard their borders. And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break, but we'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, on to the big international story now. A clampdown has been imposed in the East Jerusalem area to combat the surge of violent attacks in the country. Now, 2 Palestinian men were gunned down in separate incidents after attempting to stab a military man and a woman at a bus station. Now, Palestine has warned Israel's action could spark a religious conflict, but Israel insisted upon its right to security.
Violence escalates in parts of Jerusalem despite major security operation by the Israeli forces. Israel has deployed roadblocks and security forces in East Jerusalem, shutting down all entrances to Jabal Mukber district that was home to men accused of killing 3 Israelis. But just a few hours later, police shot dead a Palestinian who attempted to stab paramilitary police officer. Another man was killed after he stabbed an Israeli woman at Jerusalem's main bus station. Speaking for the first time since the upsurge began, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said Israeli actions were threatening to spark a wider religious conflict. He also accused Israel of carrying out executions of children in cold blood. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described the Palestinian leader's comments as lies and incitement.
تتصاعد هذه الأيام الهجمة العدوانية الإسرائيلية على شعبنا الفلسطيني وبشكل يهدد السلام والاستقرار وينذر بإشعال فتيل صراع ديني يحرق الأخضر واليابس ليس في المنطقة فحسب بل ربما في العالم أجمع.
ישראל רוצה שלום, אני רוצה שלום. אני מעוניין בחידוש המשא ומתן לשלום עם שכנינו הפלסטינים באופן מיידי, ללא תנאים מוקדמים. וזה יהיה משא ומתן קשה. כי כדי שנשיג שלום, הטרור חייב להיפסק, וסידורי ביטחון אמיתיים חייבים להיות בשטח, ומעל הכל, כדי שיושג שלום, הפלסטינים יצטרכו סוף סוף להכיר בזכות קיומה של מדינת הלאום של העם היהודי.
The White House, too, has shown concern at heightened security that could indicate the potential excessive use of force by Israeli authorities.
Certainly individuals on both sides of this divide have proven capable of and, in our view, guilty of acts of terror. We've certainly seen some reports of security activity that could indicate the potential excessive use of force. And again, we don't want to see that anywhere. We don't want to see that here in our own country. So yeah, we're concerned about that.
Israel's security cabinet had authorized the crackdown in an overnight session in view of the surge in Palestinian attacks. 7 Israelis and 31 Palestinians have lost their lives in the weeks of violent anti-Israeli demonstrations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, US President Barack Obama has announced that US armed forces have been deployed in Cameroon to help fight against the militant group Boko Haram. Now, 300-strong force will be armed but not engage in a combat. Now, they will be conducting airborne intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance operations in the region. Boko Haram's absorption into Islamic State has broadened the threat in northern Nigeria. Now, Cameroon has become a target for Boko Haram militants since backing the Nigerian military in its fight against the group.
Most prominent and most harmful, obviously, has been the rise of international terrorist groups, such as Daesh, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, and all have been guilty of vicious acts of unprovoked violence. Under their control, captives have been given a choice between conversion or slavery or death.
This deployment will be part of an effort to conduct airborne intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations in the region. This is obviously a unique capacity that the United States has to bring to bear to this effort, and it will be used in support of the ongoing regional counter-extremist efforts that are ongoing there.
And more international news and updates in World Wrap. As the investigation into the Ankara bombings intensify, Turkish government believes 2 suicide bombers have links to Islamic State. The Turkish Prime Minister said that the Islamic State militants might have even collaborated with their PKK counterparts. Police, intelligence and security chiefs have been suspended. 2 people have been arrested with alleged links to the PKK for apparently tweeting before the attack that a bombing in Ankara was imminent. Authorities are trying to establish if they had links to the bombers. China has hit back at the US in the row over maritime claims. In an indication to the US, China blamed some countries of flexing their military might again and again in the South China Sea. Beijing said it will do all to safeguard its territorial waters and airspace. Last week, US had warned China they were considering sending warships in the area. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull is holding an anti-terror summit following the Sydney killings. Addressing security chiefs in the capital Canberra, Turnbull said the recent attacks on the police worker proved that radicalisation was spreading among the country's youths. He also stressed that sharing information between the country's security agencies and frontline workers was important to tackle the problem. Myanmar government has agreed to a peace agreement with rebel armed groups in Naypyidaw ahead of the general elections. Myanmar had earlier removed 5 more armed groups from the list of unlawful associations. The 2 sides are also set to draw up a political framework within 60 days after the former NCA signing and start a political dialogue within 90 days. The move leaves the door open for the remaining groups to follow suit later. Pope Francis has made a surprise public apology for recent scandals either in Rome or in the Vatican. He made the apology at his weekly general audience in St. Peter's Square, but he did not elaborate on which scandals. He is thought to be referring to a senior Polish priest who was dismissed from his Vatican post after announcing that he was in a gay relationship. Father Lombardi said that Pope was referring to scandals in which there is a responsibility of men of the church. On to sports now. Well, Indian cricket captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni led from the front as the hosts beat South Africa by 22 runs in the second ODI to level the 5-match series 1-all. Chasing a moderate target of 248, the Proteas were bowled out for 225, with Akshar Patel taking 3 wickets.
Bid on, bid off. अभी पीछे होने चाहिए, सिंगल नहीं देना चाहिए. और ये आउट और ये इंडिया जीत गया, बहुत बड़ी जीत.
After being winless in this series against South Africa, India were under immense pressure to put up a winning performance in the second ODI at Indore.
What a comeback! Team India ka.
But the hosts seemed headed for another poor show as they were reduced to 124 for the loss of 6 wickets with more than 20 overs to play.
पारियों में 3 बार आउट किया है.
However, it was Captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni's return to the vintage form that helped India put up a respectable score. Batting with the tail-enders, Dhoni first combined with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar to put on 41 runs, then with Harbhajan Singh for a 56-run partnership. India finished with 247 for 9 as Dhoni remained unbeaten at 92.
Full kiya is baar aur flat chhakka is innings ko samapt karne ke liye.
South Africa started their chase on a quick note. Despite losing their openers, the Proteas seemed on their way to a comfortable victory until Akshar Patel struck twice in quick succession. The Indian bowlers took the charge after that as they bundled out the visitors for 225 runs. Akshar Patel and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar finished with 3 wickets each. Dhoni was adjudged man of the match for his superb innings.
It was a good game for us. Yes, there were quite a few soft dismissals because of which we didn't score something that was par on this wicket. But I felt, our bowlers, we didn't start off too well, but the spinners gave us the breakthrough that was important. And later on, the fast bowlers, they came into action and gave us those important wickets that were needed at that point of time.
With the win, India tied the series 1-all and maintained their 100% record at the Holkar Stadium, winning all 4 matches that they have played here. Both teams will now head to Rajkot for the 3rd ODI on Sunday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, India's come back to the ODI series there. And with this, that is the wrap on the Breakfast News. But keep watching Rajya Sabha TV for more news and updates. Thanks for your time.